Welcome to Life Gloss, a beauty podcast for sassy and seasoned women who have lived life and have a drawer full of lip gloss to prove it. We're your hosts, Susan Gerdeman
and Hillary Clark-Mina. Join us each Thursday as we discuss life and how it relates to the world of beauty inside and out.
You know, I'm often asked, as I'm sure you are, Hillary, what's the one product that can make me look instantly better, or at least less tired, or dare I say, younger?
A hyperbaric chamber and a stay-in-bed vacation.
Well, yeah, that, but a pop of blush. It's the first thing that I say to people. It's like you want to look fresh, you want to feel good in your skin, pop some blush on. Grandma was right. A little bit of color on the cheeks goes a long way.
The older we get, the more we realize grandma was always right. And that's one of the things I always learned watching older women in the bathroom is touch their lips and then pick up their lipstick and put it on their cheeks. Yes, if you have no time to do anything in the morning, forget mascara, forget your concealer, take a little bit of a blush, pop it on your cheeks, your eyes. It's an instant pink me up. Instead of a pick me up, I like to call it a pink me up because it does the job right away.
It's great. And I mean, we all need that, especially after 40, we start to get a little bit more sallow. We start to get a little bit more, our skin a little duller. Perhaps the color of your skin has changed as you've gotten more mature. And blush is really that one way. It's just that instant youth. I mean, when you think about youth, you think about a young child and that fresh little blush in their cheek, that little sun kiss of color. And we're all sort of always going to be chasing that, you know, the little person in each of us wants to come out. But there's really no product that makes you look more alive, because I don't like to use the word younger, but the product that makes you look more alive is a good blush. But as we get older, which formula, which shade? Do we go shimmer? Do we go matte? We are going to demystify that for you today and make us all a little bit more cheeky.
Yep. And before we go there, for all of our listeners that are having a bit of a panic and thinking, wait a minute, this is not for me. I have rosacea, my skin flares up, I'm getting hot flashes, I get too pink, I can't wear blush. Yes, my darling, you can. Go for more of a tawny, not quite a bronzer, but go for more of a neutral tawny undertone. It'll color correct that redness, but still give you that vitality and that light. So we will go into more of that as we move along, but don't count us out if you feel like you've had to ditch your blush because of redness.
Well, it's time to get cheeky. So, of all the new formulas, Hillary, what are you liking formula-wise?
So I like something that is a little mischievous. It gives me a little bit of a, ooh, where have you been and what have you been up to? So that means that sometimes I will wear my cheek under as a stain. So I love my gentle, forgiving stains, my balms, my gels, and my creams. I like things that are either going to whisper underneath my tinted foundation or my tinted moisturizer, or they're going to give a little hint of color on top and float above. So
yeah, we're seeing a lot of these new foundation formulas that have come out recently. And actually, you know, I say these new formulas, they're not new. I mean, a lot of them are not new. They've sort of been redone, but we're starting to see, you know, the cream blushers in a wand. You know, I know Selena Gomez has had a huge success with that in Rare Beauty. We're seeing the tinted balms. We're seeing the gel cream powder hybrids. We're seeing sticks making a comeback, gels making a comeback, and I'm here for it because these are the products. These are the things that we want as we get older. We want that beautiful, soft, dewy, fresh cheek. Especially even if we tend to be more shiny, I think it just gives that beautiful glow. So I'm liking some of these new formulas. We have some products we'll talk about later that incorporate some of these formulas, but you know, what are the best formulas over 40? Well, again, as we always agree on, Hillary, I think it depends on your skin type. I think it depends on what you're looking for. Do you tend to be more dry? Are you a little more shiny? What do you like? And some of it is just, quite frankly, a personal preference. Some people just love the application and feel of a powder and brush. Some people really love that rich, dewy feel of a cream or a stick or applying with their fingers. I think it's really personal.
Like everything, 100%. And it's about your lifestyle and what feels good to you. Most recently, I find that I like a twin set or a universal, sort of a stick or a pot, because I feel it's kind of like when you dress in head to toe camel or head to toe black or head to toe ivory, that monochromatic look is very chic. It's what I'm into right now. And then I'll pop a little bit of a bright baby pink, very subdued, or a muted rose in there. So I'm really appreciating and loving a brush with a stick right now. It's
Yes,
also fast and very easy, and it can make you look finished and polished because it's a monochromatic sort of a look. But when I say monochromatic, it's not wah, 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 boring. It's
right,
chic and pulled together. It's not as distracting to the eye. I'm not trying to figure out where your highlighter ends and your contour begins, and did you get the blush high or
right.
low, or it's one of those interesting debates that's going on, and I've been seeing a lot of it on TikTok. Blush placement is everywhere. So, Susan, we
Yeah.
we both have had a lot of experience here. I personally feel that while you can visually on TikTok, on camera, putting your blush high and close to the eye on camera visually, that does lift the face. But in person, it can seem garish. And while you don't
Yes.
want to go too low, you don't want to go beneath your nose with blush placement or too close to your nose, getting something closer to the apple is youthful. And the best way to find that is look straight into the mirror, line up the outside of your iris, and gently blush from there. It's younger.
Yeah, and I think, listen, I think so much blush placement trends has to do with the decade. We saw blush placement in the 70s and 80s was in a very different place as it was in the 90s when there was like no blush. And then, as we move into the 2000s, I mean, it's every decade seems to have a different place for blush, but I agree with you. I mean, it really needs to go it needs to go where your facial structure calls for it to go. So don't just go off a trend. Everyone's face is different. Just because everyone's saying, oh, place it high, I might not have the bone structure to place it high. I might want it a little lower on my face. So I'm always wary of any makeup artist that says the word always. I think it's not a great word in the word of makeup. I think that everyone is individual and everyone's face needs to be celebrated in a unique fashion. And I think blush needs to go where you actually blush. If you get embarrassed, if you can see, if you work out, where do you get that flush? Put your blush there. Put it where it naturally goes, or where the shape of your face calls for it. I tend to like it right on the bone and slightly under. So I get a little bit of some angle to my face, a little bit of shading with the blush, but also that pop of color. But to your point, Hillary, you don't want to really be careful bringing it in too close. That could definitely look odd. Something else that I've seen on a lot of social media, and I know you have, and I just think I think it's cute. It kind of cracks me up a little bit, but this whole snow bunny where they're, putting the blush straight across like a stripe, like, like an Adam and the Ants stripe across the nose and cheeks to give that sort of sunburned après ski, that natural flush. And I think if it's done very lightly, it can look sort of fresh and young. I think you have to be careful. I've seen a lot of social media where I say, oh my God, that person looks like they have a third-degree burn on their nose. So I think you have to be kind of careful with these trends. And remember, makeup can be trendy, but if you want to stay classic, keep it where you naturally would blush.
True. And speaking of social media, we have so many filters in TikTok, like the glam filter and this filter and that filter. And I see a lot of people putting the filter on and then trying to do their makeup
Oh,
like the makeup in the filter. And they may not understand that the filter is actually also changing the
yes.
shape and the bone structure of their face,
Yeah.
particularly their nose, ever so
Right.
slightly. So when you try to do the makeup, it's fun. I mean, it's a really fun thing to do is to be like, ooh, can I make that filter with makeup? If you want to have fun with it, go ahead and have fun with it. But do realize too that it is also changing your bone structure. And here's another thing. If you love blush and you are having fun with it, like your brows, every now and then I'll change the texture or the shape of my brows. Like I'll go and use a gel or I use a pencil or I use a powder and I will just treat it as a wardrobe. Like I'm going to dress this way today. So some days I will just almost as an accent or an accessory wear an accessory blush. I'll do it high. I'll do
Yes.
it close to my eye. Or I'll do it very flushed, or so you can play with it. There are no rules. It can be an accessory. Have fun, but just for everyday running around looking great. And for those of us that are looking in the mirror and trying to navigate what to do now that things have changed. And sometimes we wake up and we look tired or we just
Yeah.
don't look as, vivacious and healthy and ready for the world. We don't look on the
Right.
outside the way we feel on the inside.
Right.
Blush is a great shortcut to that.
I agree. And I think the $1,000,000 question that I get asked a lot, and I know you do too, shimmer versus matte. What formulation do we use after 40? Can we use them? My opinion is I use both and I use them strategically. I might use something with more of a shimmer in the evening, maybe stick to something with a little less shimmer during the day. I tend not to go for matte in a blush. It can look a little dead on me, especially with a drier skin. I do like a little bit of a light reflection. I don't necessarily want schlitter, but I do like a little bit of a shimmer or glow in my blush. And that's pretty much in most of them. And instead of a matte, I might do a cream with no shimmer. So a matte powder that set sail for me years ago. I sort of stopped using those a long time ago, but I do know for some people who are a little bit more shiny, they tend to maybe navigate more towards those matte shades. I think again, it's a real personal thing. And to your point, Hillary, having fun, having fun with it, having fun with different formulations and different effects on the skin.
I'll do a matte powder when I'm going for a look. It's very
Mhm.
rare. I don't touch powders myself personally when it comes to a blush. Very, very, very rarely. And I'll just do it mostly if I'm having a 90s moment. If I'm pulling something out of my closet that I loved and I'm like, oh, I'm fully going to lean into this, then I'll do that. But unlike you, I have pores that are visible, especially on my cheek area. So for me, I'm very cautious about
Yeah.
using a shimmer
Yeah.
or even something with a heavy or a strong light reflection on my cheek.
Yeah.
That's why I love a cream. It gives me the dewiness and it gives me the light reflection without that shimmer because I have to be very careful about having a pore blurring effect and the sheen of a cream without a
Yeah.
shimmer. So I go more for a cream like Vanessa Merrick's does a great blurring balm blush. I love that one more in the class category. Every single day, I do the Pericone no makeup liquid blush. Anybody out there that's listening, all skin tones, all skin textures, all ages, get this blush. It will save you. Keep it in your glove compartment, in your bag.
It's a beautiful blush. It's
If you're
beautiful.
wearing nothing else and you're going to
Yeah.
run into every single ex-boyfriend in public, this is what you
Right.
want to be wearing because
Yeah.
it looks like nothing. You never bothered, but it's going to look good.
It's beautiful. The one I always reach for in a blush, probably especially these days, because I love it for travel. I can take it with me. And it's just so natural looking. I love the Gucci Westman, the Westman Atelier blush sticks. I love the shade range. I love the fact that they are not full of glitter. There's not a lot of shimmer in them, but there's a glow that comes through them because they are a cream stick. They're very dewy, they're very soft, and they don't pack a lot of pigment. So if you're looking for something with a lot of pigment, it might not be the choice that you're going to go for. But if you want something very quiet, very easy, very quick, very gentle, I really like it a lot. I find it actually creamy and dewy enough that I can use it on my lips as well and then put a gloss on top. So I really like those blush sticks. I, like you, Hillary, don't necessarily gravitate towards powder anymore. But if I do, I'm going to go with a gel cream powder, sort of a hybrid product. And I find that the RMS has done an incredible job with their new Redimension Hydra Blush. Beautiful shades. They're getting a lot of action on social media. I know Rosemary Swift is such a great makeup artist, and I think she did a great job on this brand. I've been a fan of the brand since it first came out. It's been around for a long time, and it's a great brand. But these new sort of for people who want maybe a powder but don't really want something powdery, the Redimension Hydra Blush it's a beautiful formulation, and I thought she did a really nice job on them. So I like those a lot. And that's in the sort of the class category.
Right. I love those too. And I will, you will always see me pulling color from my lip, patting it onto my cheeks. And if it's in the pink family, I'm going to put it right above the crease in my eyes too, because
Yes.
nothing wakes up your face like a tiny little bit of a soft pink on the eye just for a
Right.
quickie. Makes quickie. Just keep that in your word. Makes it look like you have
Yep.
one, makes you look like you're out for a run. It's incredible. And Rosemary also, she does that really beautiful red cream blush that scares everyone, but
Yes.
it goes on
So
whisper
pretty.
smooth. It's so pretty. It's a true red, and it just settles down to look like that natural baby pink flush. So that's a staple in my kit too, in my arsenal, if you will.
Yeah. As far as the mass brands go, I have to say overall, most of them I don't really find to be exceptional in any way. I find that your class brands, your Dior's, your Chanel's, your French brands, as I always talk about, they do beautiful jobs. NARS, of course, the granddaddy of the great blush. We can't do an episode on blush without giving a moment of silence for Orgasm, which is such a great blush and works on everyone. And I still have one. And an occasion at night, if I really want to party up on my blush, I'll bring out that shade. It's a fun color. It's great. It's super pretty on everybody's skin. But that being said, as far as what you're going to find in the drugstores, the pigment just isn't there. But there is one, and I'm a little reticent to mention them just because they are difficult to find. They come and go from the United States all the time. At one time, they were owned by a very prestigious French luxury brand, and that's Bourjois. Bourjois is an old school blush. They come with a baby little brush inside. They are so cute. The pigment's great. It's definitely a high shine product. It's a powder with a lot of shimmer, but it's so pretty. It's such a pretty powder blush. I think you can find them on Amazon, or if you're in Europe, but it is a drugstore brand with definitely prestige ingredients. It is a baked blush, so it just has that beautiful sort of elegance to it. And that's really the only one that I would ever reach for in the mass brands. How about you?
Oh, I have such a soft place in my heart for bourgeois. And that
Mm,
little brush, it just curves and
so
caresses,
cute.
it hugs your cheekbone, and
So
it's
good.
so beautiful. I have some vintage bourgeois blush from the turn of last century from
Oh,
the early 1900s in my vintage retains.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's called like Roses, Ashes of Roses. Same little shaped component.
Oh,
It's an incredible brand. Of course, we, did New York Fashion Week with them. It's an
right.
incredible,
Yeah.
definitely has such a place in my heart. I love them. Um,
1863, Hillary.
yes,
They've
I
been
know.
around since
They started
1863. I
in the theater.
forgot.
They started
That's
in theater.
right. That's right. They were
And
original slap, as makeup was called
yeah,
back then.
they were
That's
slap.
right.
They
Yeah.
started in the
Yeah.
theater.
And they
Yeah.
still have that perfumey smell to like that old
Hmm.
school smell. There's a color I love, Lilas d'Or. I probably botched that, but it's basically golden lilac in English. Such a pretty color. Such a beautiful little blush. She's such a cutie. We love a little bourgeois.
And she's
I hope
happy.
they come back.
She's happy. She looks like a cookie. She's happy. So
No,
yeah, beautiful, beautiful blushes.
I really hope that they come back. They get it together and do like another retake in the US because they really are such a cute little brand with such heritage. Is there a mass brand that you really like?
One mass, so I must tell people in mass brands, Milani is actually made in
Mm.
Italy. So go try
Oh,
those. You can find an Italian. They do some good pigment. So
true.
they're more expensive. I think they're 11 to $13,
Okay.
but that's a good one if you're in that. I love, and this is more masstige because I've had some bad luck in mass
Yeah.
with blushes.
Yeah.
More masstige. I
Mhm.
feel very comfortable moving into this category because it won't break the bank. They also have a great sustainability program is Mob Beauty, MOB Beauty. They do a clay. It's a clay cream blush. So you can really play with it. You can get exactly what you want from it. Love those two in, the mastige.
Right. What are some of the worst shades you could think of that people could gravitate towards? For me, when I think of, we always think of like what good shades are, right? We always think peaches and pinks and a really pretty plum on a deeper skin tone. The one shade I'm always wary of on most people, and it's funny because a lot of people gravitate towards it, is a really brown mocha. I think you have to be very careful with mocha shades. They were so popular in the 90s, and boy, oh boy, can they turn to ash on deeper skin tones. On lighter skin tones, they can look like a bruise. I think we have to be very careful with those brownie toasted mocha shades, people.
I was gonna say, unless you're going for, the girly goth or like the coquette goth, that's a whole
Yes,
thing. It's a whole thing right now. The coquette goth is in.
right.
Anything muddy, anything ashy, anything grayish, beige, uh,
Yeah.
those can be tough. And as much as I love like pomelo and that kind of a pinky orange, but a hardcore orange, unless you're doing a music video,
Yeah.
unless you're on a vacation and you have that skin where it's juicy, ripe, and you can pop an orange on. I would say they can look garish and you can look like the crazy old lady going up and down Madison Avenue with her
Yeah.
eyebrows in
Yeah.
different places. So
Yeah.
muddy, tired gray or too orange
Too
for your
orange.
skin.
Yeah.
If it's fashion, go for it. If it's
Yeah.
not, uh, watch
Yeah.
it
Yeah. And I
because it
don't
can make
really,
your teeth look yellow too.
I'm just going to go out on a limb here and think that most of our listeners are probably not going for a coquette goth look right now in their lives. They may have done it at one time, but something tells me they're probably not going to be going for that look. So definitely
There,
stay away from anything that has that sort of greige, a gray undertone, or anything heavy brownie mocha. Be careful. No matter what your skin tone is, from the lightest to the deepest, be careful with anything with too much gray or brown in it, unless you are using it as a bronzer or as a contour shade, but mocha can be tricky. So proceed with caution with some of those colors for
Yeah.
sure.
Even then, and we've talked about this before, and we're going to talk about this in our Beauty Bummers episode, a bronzer that is too gray or too muddy underneath. That's really only for a makeup artist to have in their kit because they know
Yes.
when and how to do it.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully everyone's a little bit more cheeky with this episode and knowing what to do with their blushers and what shades and tips and techniques. If you have questions, you can always reach us on all the socials. And we are going to journey into the world of face creams next week, Hillary. Slipping through the cracks. We are going to explore and expose everything about the quote unquote anti-aging face cream market in both mass and class.
Watch out. We're not going to let anything slip through the cracks because there's a lot of jargon out there. We're going to get through all of it for you.
So come back and listen to us so that you can look and feel your best. Stay glossy, Hillary.
As always, Sue, stay glossy. Meanwhile, find Life Gloss on Instagram and TikTok at lifeglosspodcast.com and on our website, lifegloss.com. You just might catch us live on TikTok. You never know. All right, everybody. Susan, stay glossy.
Hillary, stay glossy.